Hey everyone, Kyle once again, and welcome back to the next movie review. And now back to reviewing a film from 2001, which makes it 25 years ago. So it's like another anniversary review. So yeah, from 2001, so 25 years, and I enjoy this film. I always had this enjoy this film, and it stars Owen Wilson, and it's not a comedy, so. It's one of those very rare movies you see Owen Wilson doing like more of a serious role instead of being comedic though. Well, he does have a couple of comedic moments in it though, but overall serious, right? And so today we'll be reviewing of the 2001 film called Behind Enemy Lines, starring, like I said, Owen Wilson and the late Gene Hackman. Rest in peace to Gene Hackman, phenomenal actor. I still miss the guy. So yeah, so Behind Enemy Lines from 2001, so again 25 years ago, and I always had fun with the film. Now it's loosely based on the inspiration story, loosely, because it's not complete. Mostly it's not when what happens in this film didn't happen though, but it's loosely based on the story about this guy who was also a pilot named Scott O'Grady, who was also a pilot who crash landed behind enemy lines in June of 1995. But the stuff that happens in this movie is not exactly what happened in based for to the guy, right? And Owen Wilson's character is not, his name is not Scott O'Grady. It's a different name. So I guess Scott O'Grady in real life, he filed a lawsuit against the people who I guess either the makers of the film in 20th Century Fox for defamation of character, because this is based on his event of, and is actually like what happened, and basically it's not exactly based on his event and then what happened to him. So it's like defamation of character and stuff like that. And at the end of the day, I think he won the lawsuit. So, but yeah, I mean it's not like oh Wilson's character is playing him is different. It's a different character name though, but that's why that's why it's loosely based on it. So, but anyway, just. Mm. But regardless of that though, it's a movie at the end of the day though. It's made for your entertainment and enjoyment, which I did. And so, but regardless of that though, I still enjoy the film. And I think Owen Wilson, I think he did a good job. I think he was fun in this film. Same with Gene Hackman. And it's like not often you see Owen Wilson, like I said, outside his comedic doing comedy films like Wedding Crashers or some of the or The Interview, with which they both starred Vince Vaughn, but like other comedy films and like You, Me and Dupree and all other comedies he's done. Because you do at times he did star in horror films and dies like he did what he was in Anaconda or The Haunting. But then he just does another action. He does another action film. He did it was in 2014. It was or was it 2015? It was around there. That's around the time. It was 2014 for 2015 when he did that action thriller film called No Escape, with him and Pierce Bronson, where it was like in this foreign country, and Owen Wilson and it has to escape along with his family to get out of there. So So Owen Wilson can do stuff outside of comedies. He can do horror and let alone action films. So, well, he did do action films too, like when we worked with Jackie Chan, like in Shanghai Noon, and Shanghai Nights. But there are also comedies as well, though. But action too, though. So, but I like Owen Wilson. Um, and also there was a time where he does appear. There was a time where he cameoed along with him and his brother Luke Wilson in Around the World in 8 Days, also with Jackie Chan. So it's nice that he did a cameo of him starring alongside with his brother. So, and then when they played they played the Wright brothers. But yeah, I always enjoyed Owen Wilson. You know, some people make fun of him, especially his nose. But people always, but I always put it past that though. And Gene Hackman, he's great, you know, and just always loved Gene Hackman. You know, from when I started in Crimson Tide, Uncommon Valor. I enjoyed Narrow Margin when he played Lex Luthor in Christopher Reeve's Superman from '78. Although he came back in the fourth film, but that was awful though. What other ones I enjoy him in? Like Crimson Tide. We're working with Tony Scott. Like Crimson Tide, Enemy of the State. Even when the last film he did before he retired was Welcome to Mooseport with him and Ray Romano. I didn't love the film though, but I could watch it because it's Gene Hackman. Or The Birdcage with him and Robin Williams and Nathan Lane. That was a fun film. Or Gene Hackman in his a little small role in Young Frankenstein when he was the blind man. Probably people didn't recognize him because he had the long hair and the beard. Wait, where are you going? I was gonna make espresso. Or I love the Poseidon Adventure. It's too bad he died though. He said when he sacrificed himself, you know. I didn't like that though. But I love the Poseidon Adventure. Or the French Connection 1 and 2. So, yeah, always loved Gene Hackman. You know, it's rest in peace to him. And so, like I said, it's loosely based on the guy on Scott O'Grady. But like I said, I guess he filed a lawsuit for like defamation of character, but he won. But like I said, it's a movie, so it's just whatever. People just take things that far, but I don't know. The thing is though, skeptical because it was directed by John Moore, which this was his directorial debut. This is the first film he directed. Now John Moore I don't like though, because honestly I think he must have lucked out on directing this film, because after that I think the films the guy directed sucked. I wasn't big on the 2004 film Fly of the Phoenix with Dennis Quaid. I wasn't really big on that movie though. Then he directed the 2006 remake of The Omen that sucked. And then he directed the awful video game movie Max Payne with Mark Wahlberg. That was an awful movie, one of the worst video game adaptations. I would say so. And Max Payne sucked big time. And then after that, he directed the fifth Die Hard film, A Good Day to Die Hard, and that sucked, you know. Because consider that I'm a big fan of the Die Hard series. I love the first 4 Die Hard movies. I love Die Hard. I love Die Hard 2. I love Die Hard 3 with a Vengeance, and especially I love Live Free or Die Hard 4. And when the 5th film came out, jeez, that sucked. You know. And and John McClane keep on saying, I'm on vacation. Yeah, that film sucked. So yeah, John Moore. I think overall, for his first film, I think he lucked out on this film. Because if I didn't enjoy this film, I would probably say this would have film that would suck too. But I can't lie though. So, gotta give John Moore credit for this film, and this was his first attempt, so he did a good job with the film. So I gotta give him credit for that, though. But still, that doesn't excuse though for making shitty films afterwards, like the Omen remake and die. I wasn't even big on the original Omen movie to begin with the original film with the Richard Donner directed with Gregory Peck, but still the remake was worse. So that sucked. Die Hard 5 sucked, especially Max Payne sucked. So yeah, so I say for especially this was his first film he directed. I say he got lucky with this movie. And the film did come out. It came out. Well, the film was taking place around Christmas time, and really enough, this was coming out after like shortly before Christmas because this film had competition because it came out the time when the first Harry Potter film came out, The Sorcerer's Stone. So it could compete with the first Harry Potter movie. But it did make money, regardless of that, because it made like 3 direct-to-video sequels. So yeah, the film made enough money to make three more sequels. I think the last one was like about 2018. Really, did this film really need a franchise? Really, I never saw those. I don't intend to though. It never was my interest to see those sequels. So I'll just stick with this one movie instead though. And so in the film, it was mixed to negative reviews. Has like a 37% Rotten Tomatoes or 36. But I think it does have a 6.7 IMDb, so I guess people like the film a bit more than the critics did. So, I don't know, 12 minutes out and I've got the film. But this had to get all stuff out of the way, like I usually do. So the film was that Owen Wilson's he's a fighter pilot in the Navy. Him and his buddy, who's also a pilot. I think his name is nicknamed Smoke. And so, Gene Hackman is his commanding officer, and David Keith, who's also in second in command. Now David Keith, I remember when he played Matt Murdock's dad from Daredevil. You know, the Marvel film Daredevil with Ben Affleck, but back when Matt Murdock, when he was a kid, when his dad was alive, who was a boxer. That's David Keith. I know I've seen him in another film before. I forget what it was though. But he was the second in command, and like Owen Wilson, he's not really seen really a whole lot. He's mostly like just watching. He's not like doing a whole lot of action. And which he says he's just like he was saying, it's like he's just doing more watching than he's doing like stuff to do, right? So he was about ready to leave until one day when he gets called in. And so this is around Christmas. This is around Christmas time, where he gets called in to do this little flying the jet out. Oh, you do get some fun moment where what you do when he's driving the fire jet, you try to catch like this football, which of course if you do this, you probably get kicked out of the Navy. So, but like I say, it's a movie, so you get some nice like fire jet maneuvers and stuff like that, and it's not Top Gun quality though, but still. And when him and his buddy, they pilot the Smoke. And which they when they go over to this area, which they thought there would be nobody there, but there is, and they get shot down. They get shot down behind enemy lines, and that's the title. And so, but he managed to get out, but his buddy, sadly, he gets killed by the bad guys. And I think because there was a lot of these mass graves by this bad guy, the leader. I think it was a Russian leader. But the lead bad guy, like I think the Russian guy, I forget how to pronounce the guy's name though. But I remember growing up though, I remember he was in Home Alone. He was the bad guy in Home Alone 3. the lead guy of the group who's leading the group of spies trying to get the remote control car that had contained that chip, that missile chip. He was the one. What was his character's name? But he was the one who was leading the three of the spies in Home Alone 3. When he got the spray paint across the eyes, or he got hit the nuts when he got opened the closet. So yeah, if you recognize of him, he would be that's him for the lead bad guy in Home Alone 3. Or I remember he was another bad guy. But he also played a Russian in Eraser, like towards like the third act of the movie where James Caan was dealing all these weapons, and he was the Russian bad guy. He was the buyer. So, but I recognize him. So yeah, I remember basically he's the bad guy from Home Alone 3. And from then on, after we get shot down, and it doesn't really stop with Owen Wilson. For pretty much the whole movie, he's being chased by the bad guys. He's running, which is like I said, all the stuff when he's on the run from the bad guys. That's not really happened based on the real life of Scott O'Grady. Like I say, it's loosely based on the inspiration of Scott O'Grady. So it's not accurate at all. It's completely fiction. But it was fun though. I mean, Owen Wilson, seeing him running, and avoiding being shot at. He just kept going past these minefields, and which really enough, when I reviewed Battle Los Angeles, it's like how the aliens were so close, but they could, or in a tunnel scene or the sewers, wherever, like the aliens, they're so close to the good guys, the Aaron Eckhart's group, right? And they shoot them, but they didn't hit them. They couldn't shoot for shit, right? Despite being so close to them. It's like the same thing, right? Like the bad guys, they couldn't shoot for shit either. So it's like it's a miracle. Like Owen Wilson avoided all that gunfire, got out in one piece without being almost not a scratch, right? Or even the bad guys are so dumb, like he lands in their own backyard, but do they not remember where their minefields were? The minefields where they set him up at, because they're looking at him. It's like what is he doing? Why is he going this way? And just looking like that, right? And they don't realize that you said you don't remember you set your own mines up. Because even when they were so close, when despite the fact they could have shot from a distance like a sniper, right? Even when you have him so close to this range, the mine, oops, bang. You could have shot from that distance, but when you getting closer, you still couldn't shoot him from close up. But you step on the mine, boom. I mean, you guys couldn't remember where you put your mines at. So sometimes it plays out like the bad guys, like they couldn't shoot for shit. Kind of reminds me of, like when I just recently reviewed Battle Los Angeles, right? With the aliens, they couldn't shoot for shit. But the good guys did. So you got pretty much a lot of fun stuff, and then it cuts back with Gene Hackman. It's like we have a man behind enemy lines. Showing that he gives a shit, because he's fine because it's like the higher ups or whoever above Gene Hackman, right? Is like, well, it's like basically they're like basically playing politics basically over just trying to save the guy's life, right? And Gene Hackman's pissed about that. He shows that he gave a shit about trying to save him. Despite it's only one guy though, but it's one of our own, and we have to go and get him, right? So he's like, we have a man behind enemy lines. Give a shit, basically. I was paraphrasing. I forget what we said afterwards, but it's like, we need to go and get him. We need to get him right now. And Gene Hackman, I saw what Gene Hackman was saying, because, like I said, I love Gene Hackman. I could buy anything what he says, right? So, because like I said, phenomenal actor. And so it cuts to him sometimes, just showing that and what he does go after him. He gets him in choppers and goes after him. And like with Owen Wilson, anything has like these photos to like the mass graves to expose the bad guy. And so we get some when Wilson when he tries to fight back, like there's a scene where he's kind of like he tries to avoid he tries to avoid like the sniper, and when he's trying to slide down this bridge, trying to avoid getting shot at, or when he does like a little action of his own where he does like slides, kind of like shoots a gun kind of like this, almost like gangster style in a way. You know how gangsters shoot hold their guns and shoot like this. So he gets some fun moments too. So, but he eventually, Gene Hackman gets him out of there, and all is basically everything's basically all hunky dory now. The turn in the evidence to arrest the bad guy, and overall, yeah, it was a very fun movie though. I enjoy the film, and like I said, I think Owen Wilson did a good job. To see him do like him start more of an action film outside of just doing comic. Like he does have some comedic moments in it though, but overall being serious. Gene Hackman, rest in peace. He does a really great job. Um, it was funny to see the bad guy from Home Alone 3. But and David Keith, I thought he did fine too as the second command behind Gene Hackman. I just forget what was the other film he did. I saw him in, but before Daredevil. I forget though. Yeah, I'm not gonna keep. I'm not gonna keep on looking up just to waste my time though. But I know it'll eventually come to me afterwards though, because of what happens. Bro, you do get some fun stunt work, with the fighter jets, or even with Owen Wilson, when well sometimes it including a stunt double, so you gotta get that, so. But I guess it was some fun action, and I mean even the guy with the real life Scott O'Grady, just the whole lawsuit was like it's a film. Yeah, it's really loosely based on your name, but it wasn't really they didn't really use actually your name in the movie for the character of Owen Wilson. So, but because it was so supposedly loosely on his story, though, that's why they did that, though. But still. But anyway, though, behind enemy lines, it was still a fun film, though. An adrenaline pumping action ride from the Philadelphia Inquirer, here from Newsweek, a celebration of American can do spirit. Even I think even critics were like I said critics were not so kind on the movie. I think even the time the late Roger Ebert, I think he gave this one 1.5 stars, saying that this was especially with Owen Wilson's character, not take it like. Actually, let me look it up because I know the like I said, Roger Ebert, he didn't give this, was not so kind on the film, so yeah, he gave the film 1.5 stars, liking it to a comedy. So he was basically trying to say this is more like a comedy film. It's, quote, its hero is so reckless and its villains are so incompetent, and it's a showdown between a man begging to be shot and an enemy that can hit on the side of a Boston and barn. Because I think it takes place where he was shot down was like somewhere that was in the Boston. It's somewhere. It's somewhere or in the over like international waters. Yeah. Boston. Yeah. Well, I would say though, because like the bad guys, as many times he shot at Owen Wilson, they couldn't hit him though. So I can see that though. They say it's supposed to be, but I thought it was kind of laughable for me. It's like it reminded me of, like the aliens in Bad Los Angeles when they couldn't shoot the Marines for shit, But I don't think like. Well, I agree and disagree a lot of things. Let's say with opinions we agree and disagree though. But I disagree with Roger Ebert though. So. But anyway, regardless of that though, Behind Enemy Lines was still a fun film. I think it was John Moore. I think he just got lucky with this film because if I didn't like the film, I would have been honest though. But The rest of this movie sucked though, but I think he got lucky with this film. I think he did. But I give credit, he did a good job with the film. So for his first film that he directed, so I think he got lucky with the film. But so hey, credit is due. You know, John Moore did fine with the movie. So, but that's my review for Behind Enemy Lines, like 25th anniversary review of the movie, 25 years later. Still, I was gonna say still a good movie though. So yeah, and it was nice to say I love Gene Hackman. It was nice to see Owen Wilson do a film outside of comedy. So that was a kind of which he normally doesn't do. So it was kind of like a little bit of a breath of fresh air for me. So, but thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more movie review for the next movie review, and we'll see you next time. Later.